Hello everyone, and you're watching Bitcoin Bubble news channel. That being said, I think the lows keep getting a little higher. That's good. As for buying a lot of Bitcoin through a program, I think there are some very smart people doing it. On the other hand, there are possibly some other sellers in that market, but they say, okay, I want to sell for Bitcoin. In order to sell one Bitcoin, they don't follow the same steps as the programs. We want good news now, that's the good news. Sure, there's a lot of money about to flow into Bitcoin and these businesses. This market is going to get so much money, and I have never seen a government that loves monopolies more than this one over the last 4 years. It was like, hey, you know what? There will come a time when I want to be free. I don't care about that blue passport at all. I need to be free. Gary Cardone starts by talking about the small but noticeable rise in the price of Bitcoin and says that it is due to the actions of smart market players. Cardone says that these organizations are using complicated formulas to buy a lot of Bitcoin in a planned way, instead of individual buyers who may buy or sell Bitcoin without a plan. The bigger players are probably using an algorithmic approach that is similar to what well-known people like Michael Saylor do. To use this technique, small purchases like buying a tenth of a Bitcoin at very small price increases hide the real number of transactions and have the least possible effect on the market. This video has been liked, subscribed to, and post alerts have been turned on. Please take a moment to do these things. You can also watch our other videos about cryptocurrencies and digital assets in general. Please share your thoughts and comments in the part below. For the channel's growth, everything you do is very helpful for the YouTube system. Thanks, and have fun with the movie. That some very smart people are using a program to buy a lot of Bitcoin. On the other hand, there are possibly some other sellers in that market, but they say, okay, I want to sell for Bitcoin. In order to sell one Bitcoin, they don't follow the same steps as the programs. I think that a sailor told a lot of people about his program. That's very smart of him, because it makes a market where the volume is very, very hard to see by creating a complicated model that lets him buy a tenth of a Bitcoin for a very small amount of money. Anyway, it's just very methodical. While some people might say, hey, I'm not going to go build an algorithm by 10 Bitcoin, okay? Maybe it's good. Okay, but these guys are buying 1,000. So these ETFs are where the money is coming in. We're seeing some very good guys. Goldman added $500 million to their books. A person who wants to buy $30 worth of gold. The price of gold right now is $2,504. Okay? It would cost me a lot more than $2,500 split by 10 to buy a tenth of an ounce of gold. Most likely it would be 2,500 divided by 10, 30%. Where did the 30% come from? Because think about a big gold vat that has been broken up. How easy is it to melt that down and stamp it with Switzerland 0.999 in 1 ounce or 1,000 ounces? So the more you make gold, the more gold you have to make, which is different from Bitcoin. It's true that 100th of a Bitcoin costs the same as 1,000 Bitcoins, right? To put it another way, buying really, really small pieces of it doesn't change the price in any way. This isn't the case with gold, which needs to be made with more force so that it can be broken down into a tiny piece that you could share at a customer event for $100, $50, or $10. It's really interesting that Bitcoin lets someone who wants to buy something for $30 get it at the same price as Michael Saylor. Find me a market that works that way. It's not going to be there. The good news is that a lot of money is about to pour into Bitcoin and these other businesses. A lot of money is about to come into this market. For 3 years, I've been trying to get money for Note 40. It's been and now without a doubt. Right now, there are about 7 people in line because everyone is like, wow, you built what? Now it's clear that we're going down the digital roadmap like we're on a highway. The point is to carry a lot of this. This is possibly the only thing I'll remember from the past to the present. The real reason is that I don't believe technology has really reached a point where I can just put something on a screen and own it, like the way I did it. I have never seen a government that loves corporations more than this one, dude. It's been 4 years since you said that. I can tell you why they like it. Okay, dealing with 2, 3, or 4 companies is a lot easier than dealing with 4,000. Yes, it's not possible to turn 4,000. It's the way big numbers work. That's why I keep saying, hey, there are 7.5 billion of us, they're nice. And there are 500 million people who are completely crazy. After that, I bought gold, silver, and Bitcoin. It was like, hey, you know what? There will come a time when I want to be free. I don't care about that blue passport at all. I need to be free. Which is really how I've come to think of a happy life. How free am I? I believe that if everyone really thought about success, happiness, and health, they would say, hey, I need to be free. I need to think about something. I need to be able to write or paint my ideas down. And the fact that Christie's, Tiffany's, or anyone else is there making art shouldn't stop me from getting to the market. Lawrence Leppard says that we need to go back to the basic ideas of sound money. He agrees that this may not seem likely right now because of the economy, but it has happened before. For example, after the Civil War, the US slowly switched back to the gold standard, which made the money supply stable again after a time of high inflation. Leppard says that a similar thing might happen again in the future. When countries are hit with the effects of too much debt and inflation, they might have to bring back a sound money system, which could be backed by gold or even Bitcoin. It's impossible to say for sure when it will happen or even if the dollar and all these other paper currencies will fail. I mean, there is a situation that makes people laugh when I explain it, but it's possible for governments to become very responsible all of a sudden. Yes, the bear case. For example, Social Security is based on people's ability to pay, and the government balances the budget and all that. All of those things, by the way, would lead to a very bad economic slowdown, and I think we've kind of passed the point where they can actually go back and fix things. However, they could try. Powell did try some things when he raised interest rates from 0% to 5.50%. They're going to keep trying to hurt us by throwing sand in our faces. It's not just going to spend the money. It will be easy for us to spend. But I think they're pretty much stuck when it comes to longer term trends. And because of this, I think that inflation will go up in the future. Then maybe that higher inflation turns into really high inflation. When everyone figures out that money is being printed too, it's kind of like getting new credit cards to pay off the minimums on your old ones. That's what the US is doing. The money isn't worth it. Another way hyperinflation has happened is in the same way. When everyone knows the money is bad, it really is bad, there is no need for it. It's not wanted by anyone. The prices of things changed every hour, every day at the end of the Weimar era in Germany because there was so much inflation. It happened so quickly. We're still not there. We're not even close to that. That's not where I think we need to go. I think we could just have a few years of very high inflation and then people would scream and we'd go back to a standard for sound money. All of this sounds pretty scary and bad, and obviously, high inflation and or hyperplasia are very bad things that can happen, but they're not impossible to fix. Many countries have dealt with these issues in the past. If they're smart, they go back to some kind of sound currency like gold or silver to back up their money, or they use someone else's money. Okay, so Ecuador had a hyperinflation in 2000. They switched to the dollar standard and it's worked out great for them. A lot of money has been added to the dollar, but not as much as Ecuador did to their own currency. In this case, I believe that monetary change is necessary. Bitcoin is better than traditional assets like